horror fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser Monty G to give you another movie review, and today we're going to review the movie Bone Tomahawk. Yes! Now, before we begin, I just want to thank all my subscribers. I've just reached another milestone. I now have over 500 subscribers, and when I launched this channel a little over a year ago, I really didn't expect much. I said I was going to do this because this is something I want to do. I enjoy talking about horror movies because I enjoy horror. And the fact that I've gained this many subscribers in a little over a year really it affects me, that the fact that you guys enjoy what I do, you like what I have to say, and you really enjoy what I really appreciate you guys supporting me, and obviously many thanks has to go first of all to my lovely wife Kelly, who supported me when I first started this. So I really support her. Of course, I thank her as well because she has to put up with this. But obviously a lot of love has to go to the horror community. Horror addicts. Vicky from Horror Maiden, Nightmare Maiden, Emma from Spooky Astronauts, the Horror Show. Bloodbath Beyond, Jay and John, those guys right there, Horror Girl Susan, Lindsay from Mother Mayhem, everybody from the horror family, even my new subscribers, everybody that I've met during the Creepy Channel Crawl. I really thank you guys a lot and supporting me and supporting my channel, and I really appreciate you guys a lot. Obviously my subscribers as well, but I thank you guys a lot, and we're going to continue this as I will keep on doing what I do best and get that subscriber up to I reach 1,000. Yes, but enough of that. It's on to the review. Now, Bone Tomahawk is a 2015 American Western horror film. It was written and directed by Craig Zager. It stars Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, and Richard Jenkins. Now, Craig Ziller is probably a familiar name. He actually wrote and directed a film that a lot of people are also talking about. I believe it's called Brawl in Cell Block 99. Stars Vince Vaughn. A lot of people give his praise in that movie and how the movie is. I have not seen that movie yet, but I guess I will check it out sooner or later rather than later. Also, there's not a lot of Western horror films that have been out recently. The one that comes to mind, obviously, is Tremors, but I really don't call that a Western horror, but it does take place out in I guess you'd call Western. But I'm talking about old Western horror films like this film is. This is set in the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, at that time period. The only horror films that come to mind when it comes to horror films, this is an old horror film that came out, I believe, back in 1969. It was called The Valley of Gwangi. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know that movie, but I remember that horror movie. Then there's another horror movie that came out back, I think, in 2009. The film festival called 8 Films to Die For, and one was called The Burrows. That's what you call an old Western horror picture. But yeah, not that many popular horror pictures based on the Western Old West. But here we have Bone Tomahawk, and let's get on with this review. Now, this is your basic Western story. We have a little small posse with Kurt Russell, who plays Sheriff Franklin Hunt, along with Richard Jenkins, his deputy, Crickery Roy, I got his name right. We have Patrick Wilson as Arthur O'Day, and Matthew Fox as John Bruder. After Arthur's wife and their deputy are taken by an old tribe of cannibalistic Indians, they set out on a 5-day march to go and rescue them. And that's basically what the plot of this movie is about. Nothing fancy, nothing real out of the way, just a nice small town, little small town, Western town. We have the sheriff and his men go out on a 5-day trek to rescue this woman and their deputy from the clutches of cannibalistic Indians. And that's basically what the plot of the movie is. Now, first of all, the one thing I truly loved about this picture and what Craig Ziegler and his team have done is how great and fantastic this film looks. I mean, everything is attention to detail is spectacular. How the West looked at the time, from the how the town looks, the small town looks, the authentic place of the West landscape at the time where they filmed it at. You got very nice exterior shots. of the landscape. You have how the Indian burial scene, the beginning of the movie, how authentic that looks. We also get a special cameo appearance by horror veteran Sig Haig. He is in this picture as well, and how they talk, and how they look, and what they did at that time in order to survive at that time. Everything looks, attention to detail is fantastic. Even the Indians that he uses in this picture are look authentic as well. Nothing's out of place. How they talk, how they look, how they act, how they know what they did in order to survive. So you got to give his team, his cinematographers, and everything of how this film looked is fantastic. Obviously, the writing helps a lot because this is very well written story. There's no cliche characters in here, and that goes to kudos for what Craig has done. All the actors do a fantastic job in the roles. Kurt Russell really brings it as Patrick, the sheriff. It seems as though he just simply wants to do what's right, and he's trying to keep the town safe, and he'll do what is necessary in order to keep the town safe. Even though it might have repercussions at the end, but he's just a sheriff trying to do a great job. The main character, and what I believe everyone's favorite, is Richard Jenkins as Crickery. He is fantastic in this movie. He may talk a lot. He has the most lines in the movie, and some of them really don't make no sense, but that's how great his character is, and you can't just help but to love him, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why he allows him to come along, because you would think he would be a burden on this trip, this long hike, because it does exaggerate how difficult it was at that time period. But he does hold his own. He's not a liability on this trip, despite his age. He does a really great job in what he has to do, and he is not a hindrance on his team, and nor he's annoying neither. Because you would think he would become annoying later on, but the way how this film is, he doesn't become annoying. He's the best thing on this picture. Matthew Fox from the Lost fame, he also does pretty good as John Bruder. Obviously, he's a well-to-do man, and he might have intentions for Samantha's wife, or Arthur's wife, but he has his own reasons as the reason why he comes along on the trip. But everyone does a fantastic job in this movie. And now let's talk about those Dracodyke Indians. Yes, the main villains of this picture are the Indians. Yeah, they don't have a name, as we find out later on. They're cave dwellers. It looks like they're still living back in their own time. They're not modernized. But how they look very authentic. And these Indians are no joke. They are very brutal. They have a great one-scene kill during the midway through the part, but when we get to their cave, oh boy, they really show their brutality in the film. I won't give it away, but the people who've seen the film know what I'm talking about. These Indians are no joke. They're brutal, they're vicious. I like how they communicate. They communicate sort of a way like velociraptors communicate in the Jurassic Park films. They really don't have speech. But they communicate in a certain way. When we find out how they communicate, it's very hard to see why they're still around, and no one really knows about them. But yeah, those Indians are very brutal. There's no, and I recommend, and I commend, I say commend, Craig Zager not pulling any punches as far as these Indians are concerned. So kudos goes to them for doing that as well. Yes, they're very brutal. The only flaws I see in this film is Lily Simmons, who plays a doctor's assistant, Samantha, not Matthew Fox, Patrick Wilson's character's wife. She seems too modernized. I don't know, it's because, I'm pretty sure that they decided to put her in the film and not be a damsel in distress. They wanted to give her something meaningful to do, so I recommend that. But unfortunately, women at that time weren't. I know some were, but not many weren't. Excuse me. But I understand why they did that. But she seems out of place. I'm not saying that she's a bad actress or she did anything wrong. It's just that how the film is, her character seems kind of out of place in that type of timeline. I think they might have did too much. It's not a detriment to the film. It's just the fact that if there's any flaws in this film, she's the only flaw because she seems kind of out of place. So overall, this is a very fantastic horror film. It's a nice time period piece. Very authentic. Acting is excellent. You can't go wrong with this film. So, the Horror Miser is going to open up his vault. And I'm going to give Bone Tomahawk 3.5 out of my 5 gold coins. Yes, Bone Tomahawk will get 3.5 out of my 5 gold coins. Very fantastic movie. I highly recommend you watch it. So, my horror fans, have you seen Bone Tomahawk? What do you think about it? Did you think this was an excellent horror film? Or do you think it was just a waste of time and you're just not interested in Western movies anymore? Leave your comments in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about Bone Tomahawk. Well, that's my video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said, it always does help the channel, but it really helps the channel even more. Like I always say, hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell. That way you can come and enjoy the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down at the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, horror rules.